It started subtly, the way most betrayals do. I'm Ansel, a 46-year-old IT specialist living in Seattle. My wife, Brielle, and I had been married for 18 years. We had a comfortable life, a nice house in the suburbs, 2 kids in college. I thought we were happy, or at least content. But looking back, the cracks had been there for a while. I was just too blind to see them. Brielle started working late more often. She'd always had a demanding job as a marketing executive, but these late nights felt different. She was vague about what she was working on, and when I asked, she'd brush it off with a tired smile. Just a big project, honey. Nothing to worry about. Then came the phone calls. She'd step outside to take them, whispering into the receiver, her voice low and secretive. When I asked who it was, she'd say it was a client or a colleague. But her eyes wouldn't meet mine, and a knot of unease would tighten in my stomach. I tried to ignore it, to chalk it up to stress and the pressures of her job. I didn't want to believe that Brielle, the woman I'd built a life with, the mother of my children, could be lying to me. But the doubts kept gnawing at me, whispering insidious possibilities in the back of my mind. The first real red flag came a few weeks later. I was doing laundry, a chore I often took on to help Brielle out, when I found a receipt in her jeans pocket. It was for a fancy hotel downtown, the kind we usually only stayed at for special occasions. The date on the receipt was from a Tuesday night, a night she told me she was working late. My heart skipped a beat and a cold dread washed over me. I confronted her that night. "Brielle, I found this receipt," I said, holding it out for her to see. "What were you doing at the Grand Majestic Hotel on Tuesday?" She paled, her eyes widening in panic. "Oh, that," she stammered. "That was a business dinner. We had a client in town and we wanted to impress him." "A business dinner that required a hotel room?" I asked, my voice rising. "Brielle, I'm not stupid." She hesitated, her face a mask of guilt and fear. "Okay, fine," she admitted. "It wasn't a business dinner, but it wasn't what you think." "Then what was it?" I demanded. She sighed, avoiding my gaze. "It was just drinks with a friend. An old college friend I hadn't seen in years. We just wanted to catch up." I stared at her, my mind reeling. I wanted to believe her, but something felt off. "What's his name?" I asked. "His name," she repeated, her voice trembling. It's Nalan," I said, searching my memory. "I don't think I've ever heard you mention a Nalan before." "Well, it was a long time ago," she said defensively. "You wouldn't remember. I let it go for the time being, but the seed of suspicion had been planted." I couldn't shake the feeling that she was lying to me, that something was terribly wrong. Over the next few weeks, I became obsessed with finding out the truth. I started checking her phone records, scrutinizing her credit card statements, even following her after work a few times. I knew it was wrong, that I was invading her privacy, but I couldn't help myself. I needed to know. One evening, while Brielle was in the shower, I decided to snoop through her purse. I hated myself for it, but I couldn't resist the urge to search for answers. I rummaged through the usual items: wallet, keys, make-you-puntal. I found a small, locked diary. My heart pounded in my chest. This had to be it. I tried to guess the password, but nothing worked. Frustrated, I grabbed a small screwdriver from my toolbox and carefully pried the lock open. Inside, I found pages filled with Brielle's handwriting, detailing her thoughts, feelings, and experiences. I flipped through the pages, my eyes scanning for anything that might confirm my suspicions, and then I found it. A passage describing a passionate encounter with a man named Kieran. She wrote about how he made her feel alive, how she'd never felt this way with me. The words were like a knife twisting in my gut. I felt sick, betrayed, and utterly devastated. I read on, my eyes blurring with tears. She described secret dates, stolen moments, and the thrill of their forbidden love. It was all there in black and white. My wife was having an affair, and she was deeply in love with someone else. I slammed the diary shut, my hands shaking. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. My world had just been shattered into a million pieces. I waited for Brielle to come out of the shower, my mind racing with anger and hurt. When she emerged, wrapped in a towel, I confronted her. "Who is Kieran?" I demanded, my voice trembling with rage. She froze, her face turning white. "What are you talking about?" She stammered. I threw the diary at her feet. "Don't play dumb with me, Brielle. I know everything. I read your diary." She picked up the diary, her eyes scanning the pages. Then she looked at me, her expression a mixture of guilt and defiance. "Okay, fine," she said. "It's true, I'm having an affair with Kieran." Her words hit me like a punch to the stomach. I felt numb, disoriented. "How could you?" I whispered, my voice cracking. "How could you do this to me?" "To our family, I don't know," she said, her voice barely audible. I wasn't happy. I felt trapped. "Kieran made me feel alive again, so you decided to betray me to destroy our marriage," I said, my voice rising. "Is that what you wanted?" "No," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't want to hurt you, but I couldn't help it. I fell in love with him." I stared at her, my heart breaking. The woman I loved, the woman I'd shared my life with, was standing before me, admitting to betraying me in the worst possible way. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice cold, "and I want you out of this house. I don't ever want to see you again." She didn't argue. She packed a bag, her face pale and drawn, and walked out the door. Just like that, our marriage was over. I spent the next few months in a daze trying to come to terms with what had happened. I was angry, hurt, and confused. I couldn't understand how Brielle could have done this to me, how she could have thrown away everything we'd built together. I leaned on my friends and family for support, and slowly, gradually, I began to heal. I started seeing a therapist who helped me process my emotions and develop coping strategies, but the pain of Brielle's betrayal lingered. I couldn't shake the feeling that she'd taken something from me that I could never get back. She'd stolen my trust, my faith in love, and my sense of security. One day, a few months after Brielle left, I was cleaning out the attic when I stumbled upon an old shoebox filled with her belongings. I opened it, curious to see what she'd left behind. Inside, I found old photos, letters, and mementos from our early years together. There were pictures of us on our wedding day, smiling and full of hope for the future. There were love letters we'd written to each other, filled with promises of eternal devotion. And then I found something that made my blood run cold, a small, unmarked envelope. I opened it, my hands trembling, and pulled out a folded piece of paper. It was a bank statement detailing a secret savings account that Brielle had been hiding from me for years. The account contained a substantial sum of money enough to start a new life. I felt a surge of anger, betrayal, and disgust. Not only had Brielle cheated on me, but she'd also been secretly planning to leave me, taking a significant portion of our assets with her. But that wasn't all. Tucked beneath the bank statement was another piece of paper, a one-way plane ticket to Buenos Aires, Argentina, dated for the day after she left me. I stared at the ticket, my mind reeling. Brielle hadn't just left me for Kieran. She'd been planning to run away with him, to start a new life in a foreign country, using the money she'd secretly saved behind my back. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Brielle's affair wasn't just a momentary lapse in judgment. It was a calculated, premeditated act of betrayal. She'd been deceiving me for years, manipulating me, and planning her escape all along. I felt a burning desire for revenge, a need to make her pay for what she'd done to me. But as I sat there, staring at the plane ticket and the bank statement, I realized that revenge wouldn't bring me any satisfaction. It wouldn't undo the pain she'd caused me, and it wouldn't make me feel any better about myself. Instead, I decided to take a different approach. I contacted a lawyer and filed for divorce, making sure to include all the evidence I'd found: the diary, the bank statement, and the plane ticket. I wanted to ensure that Brielle wouldn't get away with her deception, that she wouldn't be able to profit from her betrayal. The divorce proceedings were long and bitter, but in the end, I prevailed. The judge ruled in my favor, awarding me a significant portion of our assets and granting me full custody of our children. Brielle was left with nothing, her dreams of a new life in Argentina shattered. I never saw Brielle again. I heard through mutual friends that she'd moved in with Kieran, but their relationship was short-lived. He eventually left her for another woman, leaving her alone and penniless. I don't know if Brielle ever regretted her actions, or if she ever understood the depth of the pain she'd caused me. But I do know that I survived her betrayal, and that I emerged from the experience stronger and more resilient than ever before. In the end, Brielle's attempt to escape her life and start anew only led to her downfall. Her lies and deception caught up with her, and she paid the price for her actions. As for me, I learned a valuable lesson about trust, forgiveness, and the importance of moving on. I rebuilt my life, found new love, and created a future filled with happiness and fulfillment. Brielle's betrayal was a dark chapter in my life, but it was a chapter that ultimately led me to a brighter and better future. I discovered that Brielle had not only been unfaithful, but had also meticulously planned her departure, amassing funds and securing a one-way ticket to Argentina with Kieran. This revelation transformed my pain into a resolve for justice, leading to a divorce settlement that left her dreams shattered and me empowered to rebuild my life anew. Remember, betrayal can be a catalyst for profound self-discovery and resilience. It's not about seeking revenge. It's about reclaiming your life and finding the strength to move forward. Your journey to healing begins with self-respect and the courage to embrace a brighter future. Take care.